So, should I talk about the Sasquatch?
Yeah, so let's make this graspable to a wider audience because most
Okay.
people who they think of Sasquatch are thinking, "Oh, it's that made-up creature that people want to argue whether it's been here or is here,
hmm
and it's pretty much just a tourist attraction when I go on vacation with my family."
Yes. And I want to say too, sometimes on the internet, the giants of old that they uncover
Yes.
these skeletons, there's also that distinction too. Are we talking about the giants or are we talking about a completely different race?
Yeah. So, it depends on what giants you're talking about.
Hmm.
Because I believe that there are some original titans of the planet. Some of the original creators of our race and the original creators of our planet, and part of them are the Sasquatch. So we have Sasquatch DNA. This is what I believe. And giants, Hyperboreans are also giants, and they walked our planet in ancient times. And so they are giants. And then we also have our Sasquatch families that are bigger. So
Mhm.
it depends. I believe there's more than one when we're talking about that. And
Okay.
with the Sasquatch again, they are elemental beings. So you can absolutely find them out in where we hear people go out in the woods or whatever and you hear stories. I also believe they come from other planets as well. They've taken me to a planet, a Sasquatch planet, and that was I got to see myself, a lifetime of myself at this purple planet where it was a Sasquatch planet. So there's various types, and some are from this planet and some are not.
Hmm.
That's how I see them, and I work with them. They are directly related to us and to our race, and so they are family. They are our ancestors too. And so yeah, so that's my experience of them. They're very much connected to the elemental realm. So often you'll see when we see ravens, they're communicating. Ravens communicate with them, and they communicate with us. The ravens are kind of a good kind of, what is that? The middle,
Intermediary.
Hmm.
yes, that's the word. And also they'll hop in and out of these like light portals, so they can just jump in, they can show their form, they can jump back out, and then so they're multidimensional. They just travel and traverse through all different levels of awareness.
That I was going to ask you that. Are we talking interdimensional or physical? And it sounds like it's both. And
Both.
so that's why people have such a hard time tracking them in the physical because they can just
Yes.
disappear.
They
Yeah.
like literally jump through like portals, like light, like it's like maybe like a square of light or like a ball of light, and they just jump through and they can come in and out, and they leave lots of wonderful gifts. My colleague Laurel is a Sasquatch communicator and an elemental realm communicator, and maybe have her on the show and she can tell you amazing, amazing, amazing stories, all incredible, powerful stories around the Fey realm, the Sasquatch. And so I've learned a lot through her too. And
Cool.
she's through Lightbody Academy as well. But so this is even before I even knew Laurel. So I didn't know a lot about, I just would see them, but I would see them again, mind's eye, more on an energetic level. And I would
Okay.
connect with them that way. But the story is kind of crazy what happened. So this was, gosh, I want to say maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I was in Crestone. So
Mm.
I was in a kind of a sacred space in Colorado. And me and a group of people, we were walking in the woods, and hiking, and there was a creek along the way. And we were just all like really intentionally walking, holding our hearts big. And we were just walking. And all of a sudden, I fell to the ground and I started convulsing.
Hmm.
There was nothing wrong with me. Okay. I just started convulsing and I started yelling and screaming. So imagine being on a hiking trail and then a woman is laying on the ground screaming. All of a sudden, this flash came through and I saw an entire scene. And the entire scene was I saw myself strapped down to like a table, and I saw all of my people strapped down to a table, and I was a Sasquatch.
Whoa.
So it was like little ones, big ones. And I was like looking around. I just kept on looking around and seeing. And I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to help my people. I got to save my people. And
Wow.
the downloads that came through was this actually was happening in Colorado. That there are places in the mountains, especially that area is closer to the springs. And we know there's a lot of government stuff. We know a lot of military stuff in Colorado.
Mhm.
And I believe that the scene I actually saw was a scene of me being experimented on with me and my people. And it really felt like in the mountains of Colorado. And, you know,
Wow.
Would we
yeah,
call that a past life, or is this like interdimensionally happening at the same time?
that's a great question because I thought originally it was a past life because I didn't understand the like kind of multidimensionality of things like I do now, just from all the work I've done with people, and I've learned a lot through them.
Hmm.
So, but this definitely feels like a timeline. It was like more of it was a different timeline of mine because it
Okay.
doesn't feel ancient. It felt like real on this planet in Colorado, maybe part of the reason why I was called to live here. And it was so real. Just like if you were watching X-Men on the TV and you saw Wolverine getting experimented on. It was that same kind of like energy. I mean, it was the whole scene. And I was just bawling and bawling and bawling, and my body kept on shaking and shaking. I mean, it literally, I was just walking and it fell. And then all of a sudden this came up. And some of the women there were helping me through it and guiding me through and talking me through and telling me like how to support me through this because I didn't think I was getting out.
Mm.
I didn't think I was getting out. And what happened after that, what came through was the energy, the trauma behind it was able to come out.
Ah, okay.
So
Wow.
so
Okay.
it was this like torture. Like there was a tortured energy that was in me that kept me very closed off and not like trusting. Like I maintained an inner circle and I didn't really trust anyone outside of it, you know.
Hmm.
But that
Mhm.
really kind of that shifted a level of trust for me and opens that up for me to then really see like, and I got to see the perpetrators and they were human. I
Okay.
got to see the love I had for my people was so strong, and I got to see them get liberated too. So what happened on a soul level, we all just we're not holding the scene with trauma anymore. So I can go back to the scene and look at it and see myself and laying there, but I'm not holding a trauma anymore.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
And
liberated their souls too. Like we all got liberated from that scene, even the perpetrators, because they are holding that energy. So,
That's interesting. Even the perpetrators.
yeah, I
yes.
had to stop and think about that because at first I was like, well, it sounds like you just healed your soul, but now, you healed it for everybody, but the perpetrators too. I got to
Yes.
think about that one. So did they,
Yeah.
like, were they there? Did they want to be liberated? Did
Some
they?
do. Yeah, when you
Okay.
go into a like an experience like that, whether it's like a scene of a lifetime or a past life or a timeline, kind of scene, what I'm always doing is I'm checking to see like, okay, is everyone wanting to be liberated? Does everyone have to be liberated? Is it just me? Often it's everyone because everyone holds an energy. So
Hmm.
whether you're a perpetrator and now in this lifetime you hold a victim mentality, right? But you're still holding on to this energy and it could be guilt or shame because maybe the person had guilt about it or shame, or maybe they secretly still have this energy of wanting to cause harm.
Hmm.
You don't know. But when you're asking these souls, like, are you ready to be liberated on that level, or do you want to stay with it? Because you can just hold your free will and choose to stay in that energy.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So often though, everyone wants to be liberated because it's hard to liberate yourself if everyone is not liberated in that experience. But you absolutely can, but they have to make a choice, a
Mhm.
conscious choice of wanting to hold on to the trauma.
That makes
Wow.
sense. That's really, really powerful. Oh my goodness. I think,
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense to me though, because probably the perpetrators were often being told what to do
Mhm.
by a higher power that wasn't doing the dirty work, so to say.
Yes.
And so there's a certain level of guilt, and they had to experience the trauma themselves, walk through it,
Yeah.
and they were causing the harm. So I do think that's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did that end for you? You were on the ground for how long, and then you just kind of came out of it, and you're like, "Holy shit, that was crazy."
Yes. I don't even know how long it was, but the people I was with, they came running and sat with me and helped clear some energy, and my awarenesses came through. And then all of a sudden, those energies got cleared, and I wasn't holding the trauma anymore. And I was able to get up, and we kept on walking.
All right. Wow. Just another day in the woods.
And did anyone else experience or tap into that psychically as you were walking through it?
Once I fell, two other people who were more like, let's say, the teachers or the facilitators of like, because we were there for a workshop, they came over and they talked to me through, okay, so what do you see? What's going on? What is this? And then I was able to, now I can just do it on my own. But then back then it was like I was so altered. I was so in terror, at that time that it was so
Mm-hmm.
hard. And then they're like, okay, what scene do you see? And then we were able to put together, okay, these are humans experimenting on you and your people. Okay, this is Colorado. This looks like it was from over here, close to the springs. I mean, crazy stuff like that. Like I didn't know necessarily. So they helped me put together pieces of what was
Okay.
happening. Yeah.
Wow, what a
Gotcha.
perfect group to be with while
Oh
that's happening.
yeah. That one,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that experience. That was just nuts what happened with that. But it just shows like again, when you're expanding your multidimensional lens, you don't know what you're going to find and what you're going to see. And that there was something inside of me that needed to get healed. And it wasn't from something my dad said or something my mom said. It was, you know what I mean? It was something that was
Right.
from a very different level of awareness that had to come through to release something within me.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
tremendous how connected all this gets when you really tap
Yeah.
into it. That's
Yes.
wild.
Exactly. And
Yes.
so many layers of it. I mean, to think that we've been incarnated as a human and then other beings possibly. And there's so much, so much.
Yeah,
There's
we
so
didn't even
much.
dive down the rabbit hole of timelines or just kind of mention that. It's a whole nother one. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And those
Mhm.
are
yeah.
they're coming forward for a lot of people right now. Of people being able to understand, like, okay, this didn't happen a long time ago. This didn't happen in a past life. I definitely felt like it was newer, but it's not in this experience of like my life experience now. And then you can kind of see maybe where you jumped into a different timeline or where you were living out a different timeline. I mean, it's not so again, how vast this is. The awarenesses can get. And we
Yeah.
get limited to like, let's say 9 dimensions or whatever. We're just so vast. So what I'm holding in my heart is what's possible. What are the potentials out there and what is possible because it's so beyond everything what I know. And if my ego's involved, then I know I'm in limitation. Right. Because if I'm in my
Yeah.
heart, then I just
Mhm.
expand and expand and the awarenesses come forward. But when my brain tries to interpret it, then I'm kind of putting it into structure or I'm putting it into something. So,
Mm.
so that's where the trees are really helping me to go back into the heart of it. And like, you don't need to understand it. You don't need to interpret it. Because eventually later the interpretation comes in, after all those experiences happen a lot of times, so.
I just wanted to highlight your comment about the trees because I don't remember if we hit record at the time we were
Oh,
talking about the
yeah.
trees before we
Yeah.
started, the podcast show here. But Stacy's been working with trees, tree therapy, and gaining lots of direct wisdom from them, which is quite profound. And I'm curious, is it a specific species of trees or are you working with multiple?
Yeah, so I'm working with multiple. It's where whoever I'm called to go to, and sometimes I'll just do the trees in front of my house, especially if let's say I have less time. And the trees in front of my house, there's a lot of maples. So I'll work with them, but where I live, there's a lot of old trees, like there's a couple old birch trees, there's a couple of old oaks, and there's some evergreens which are just so lovely. I want to work with an aspen. I've never connected with an aspen before. I'm just curious about the flavor of the aspen, but it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And they all have their own flavors. And when I connect, it starts off being a very physical connection. And I ask, are you okay with me sitting with you? And sometimes it takes them a while, especially the city trees. Oof. Sometimes I've had to build like multiple times visiting relationship to get them to open.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you mean by the city trees?
So I live in the city, and so
Oh,
the
okay.
trees here and the lack of like connection with the human connect. I mean, I guess in the wilderness you're not getting human connection, but it's different. When you're out in the wilderness, your
Yeah.
heart is open, right? Like you're just
Yeah.
in the wilderness, and so like you just naturally just start energetically connecting with all of nature in a different way. But in the city, it's sad, especially because if I walk down this really busy road by my house, those trees, they're just like dismissed. They're not looked at. They're not connected to. So now I walk and I say hi and I try to connect, and they have a whole root network and they communicate with each other underground. And it's fascinating because I'll maybe sing hi to one, but one across the street or down the way knows, and then feels the same level of joy because of it. And so I literally just sit under a tree and I sit there and I lean against it. Sometimes I'll hug, but sometimes I'll place my hand. I just lean against it, and that's how I go in, and I feel something in my body. Sometimes it's like, okay, it's in my head. Something in my head is being, worked on or connected to, or they'll take me right into my heart or somewhere. But each one has such a different frequency, and different things are coming forward from it. And I was sharing, that story around how with my tree therapy, I call it tree therapy because, it
Perfect
is.
name.
Yeah.
But one of the times the tree pulled me into the trunk and then showed me exactly what I need to do with my migraines right now, and just showed me, okay, you need oxygen, you need to do this, you got to do this. So it was just amazing because I don't think I would have gotten there if I was just meditating on my couch or wherever, like I don't think I would have gotten there in that same way because it was a co-creative connection that happens. And they were so excited to bring things forward. And I'm telling you, I'm having epiphany after epiphany just sitting. And sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 30 minutes. It's just whatever I'm called to, and maybe what my time, frame is. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. So this is bringing me back to one of the first spiritual books I ever read. It was 25 years ago, something. I think might have been called Soul Companion. It was a bunch of short stories. And in one of them was a tree communicator. And I found the story so fascinating because this person said that each species holds different knowledge of wisdom. And she went up to one species, and I'm making up the details and the names of the species here because I don't remember. But let's say she went up to the aspen trees, and the aspen trees are like, they told her, "You're not ready to converse with us yet. Please go talk to the pine trees, learn from the pine trees, and then you'll be ready." And so that's what she had to do. I found those details fascinating.
Wow.
So I'm highly motivated after this conversation to go out,
Yes.
connect with our aspen trees here.
I know
Yes.
they feel like they're fun. I feel like they would have fun energy. I don't know. When I tune into them, they just feel fun, like high
Sweet.
energy. So
I'll let you know what
yeah.
I pick up. I'm
Yeah,
definitely going
please
to do it.
do.
Yeah.
Please do.